Okay, yo, we have the wedding days, and Mike and Emma was a total waste of time, like from the beginning. Like I said this before, the whole baby thing, that there was no her not wanting kids, that they should have never even stayed talking to each other in the pods. I don't even know why they tried that. So it was a no, and he ended up going, or he went to talk to his family about it, and they about how he still cared about her. They talked. It ended on decent terms. They kind of act like they were. I don't know if they were still going to see each other or what, but again, they should have never bothered when they knew she didn't want to have. When he found out she didn't want to have kids, that should have been it. Jordan seemed real nervous, and which is understandable, I guess, if you're about to get married. He also looked like he was a little tipsy. His family really wants him to get married. That's for sure. Amber's getting ready. She's talking to her brother, and I think her aunt's there, and then her daughter's there. Amber's dress was really pretty. Everybody's dresses were pretty. Her brother was telling her he wants her to have he wants the best for her, but he really feels like Jordan. If Jordan says yes, he'll be surprised, and that's the look on her face. She says that she wants this to be a good experience for him as well. So that was the other thing was his family was talking to him about moving to Mount Vernon. I guess that's where she is, and he was like, that was a non-negotiable even in the pods. I'm not moving to Mount Vernon. And his sister was like, well, you need to compromise. You need to compromise. That's another situation that if you knew that in the pods, I mean, but that's not as big as children, but still. So they get up there. All these weddings were really weird or something bizarre really happened. Like when they were talking, it was almost like they were giving speeches, right? And so she was saying what she needed to say, and then he looked really nervous, and I think she could tell. I mean, he looked really nervous. So she was just like, basically, she said, if what did she say? If you don't want to marry me or something like that, then I understand. I've got a lot going on. It was like she was trying to give him an out, or she was trying to say it first so that he wouldn't just to lessen the blow for her. But she said yes. She said yes, but he was looking like I thought for sure he was going to say no. For sure. At first, when it started, I thought, oh, they'll get married. But then when this look on his face, I thought, oh, he's going to say no. But he actually said yes. It was a weird yes, but he did say yes. Now, here's the thing. I felt like everyone in the audience or the guests were a little too shocked, which made it weird. Look at this. Like, what? And this? I'm starting to wonder what's going on with Jordan that they're so happy that he said yes. Almost like they wanted, like, they didn't think he'd ever find him. I don't know, but the reactions are really weird. All right, y'all. These two. I mean, this look on his face. Now, I understand being hope. Well, I don't even. We all know, when someone's into you, right? Or you even know when someone likes you. You know when someone doesn't like you. Let's use that. Even though, like how they say, oh, he could have been saying things to her, and he did say he loved her at one point. But isn't there a point when you know someone does not like you, let alone love? Like, look at his face. Granted, she didn't hear that she's the first woman of color he's ever dated, but just on vibes alone. So they start off and she's talking and she was like, I mean, they must have, before the camera started rolling, decided, or he decided they weren't going to get married today. And she was saying, I still love you. I have the dress, it's just not now, but that doesn't mean we're not going to get married. His face the whole time. He doesn't want to get married. Why he just won't tell her that? He said he couldn't get married today, but the things that she's saying that in the future, and we're still together, and this is a look on his face, and I'm like, just tell her. When they were talking to him without her around, and he said there were just a few things. She was like a shadow. I'd be going to change my shirt, and there's basically she came in there and all that, and it shows that he's just not into her. And then they show her, and she's like, I would. if I wasn't 99.9% sure we're going to get married, this would be a sad day or something like that. I'm paraphrasing. And she said, but I know he's my person and I found the love of my life. And I'm thinking, what? And also, he did say when he was talking, doing when they were doing an interview with him, he said that her buying a dress before the show was off-putting to him, and he felt like she was going to get married whether it was him or not. I now that I agree with. That was a little odd. And are you just going to get married to you were going to get married regardless? And of course she was, because the way she talks about being married, she talks about a wedding and being married m- as if a relationship is second. You know what I mean? But she's a hopeless romantic, I guess. That's a nice way to put it, I guess. But I don't understand how she couldn't see that he didn't like her, that he wasn't into her. I don't understand that. No matter what he was saying behind closed doors, the way he was with her. And again, she mentioned, or did they mention? No, they didn't. That was the last episode when he mentioned she was saying he doesn't tell her he's pretty enough. If you have to keep asking somebody that, I just feel like she's just one of those people who just wants to be in a relationship. He's not it, girl. You can find somebody for you, because he is not. He looked miserable every time they were together. They may have laughed a couple of times, but and then she said she never met his mom in person, so he was never in. And he did say he's always had doubts. It showed, whether he said it or not, it showed. So then they were sitting there and he said, well, I have to go. And then he said, we'll keep in touch, or we'll be in touch. And she thought that was funny. She's like, I can't stand you. That's not funny, because the whole time I'm thinking, this man, the minute he's out the door, he's thinking you're not going to see him again till the reunion, if that. She's still talking about him being the love of her life and that they're on pause. Now, I feel like she needs a talking to from her mom about being this blind. But he also should have just said he didn't want to continue on, because I'm sure that's what's going to come out in the reunion. When I saw him getting in his car, I knew she wasn't going to see him again. I know he couldn't wait to get out of there. Mm-mm. The wedding part, waste of time. Alex and Ashley, she was going on talking about how Alex would be a good father, and then she was crying about it. It just seemed really weird. And she also made the comment that she said there's been talks that I'm not his type. I didn't know they had a conversation that she wasn't his type. I know he said she wasn't to the cameras, but I didn't know they had a conversation. But then she said, I'm expecting him to say no. And I'm like, well, why are you even going through with this? And she said, if and then she was double talking. She was like, is he my person? Is he not my person? And the whole thing was just bizarre. But I got it after they got to the altar, why she was talking the way she was. So she got up there, and then he was about to say whatever he had to say, and she's like, I know, she's like, you can stop. I know you're not going to choose me. And then she just went on. These ceremonies were so weird. She went on about how um basically he's a liar, and she just doesn't trust him, and all this at the altar. She told him, you don't choose me and I don't choose you, and that's fine. When she said no, her father, who always looks like he's been overserved, looked over at her mom. So he knew, that's why she was talking like that. He knew the whole time what she was going to do. I'm sure she told him, because he was smiling the whole ceremony, and he doesn't seem like the type that would be smiling like happy smiling. He was smiling because he knew she was going to do that. She was going to tear him a new one up at the altar. She was going to talk about him like a dog in front of all his friends. He knew that. I mean, she was basically telling him he's a walking red flag in front of everybody. Um, I mean, I didn't care for him or her, to be honest, but um, he was pissed, but he was trying to keep his composure. But you could tell he was pissed. He's the type of person you always know he's covering, and he's trying to put up a front. So that wasn't anything new for him, I don't think. And then when they were talking to him, well, he was talking to his friends about it, and his friends were like, "You're a good person, you have integrity, all this." And then he was like, "She's a great girl. I have no ill will." That's a lie, because his personality, he was boiling. He has no ill will. Then his friend was like, "You want to go check on her?" He was like, "Why?" Exactly.